What if everything you were told about aging was wrong? What if that exhaustion you feel every morning, that weakness in your legs, that inability to do things you used to do effortlessly, what if none of that was actually inevitable? I'm a physician with over 2 decades of clinical experience, and I'm going to tell you something today that most doctors never say out loud. The muscle loss and energy drain that hits after 60 is not a life sentence. It is a symptom, and symptoms have causes, and causes have solutions. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you something so simple, so accessible, and so backed by science that you're going to wonder why nobody ever told you about it before. There is one combination, 3 natural ingredients that most people walk past every single day at the grocery store without a second thought. That has the documented ability to rebuild muscle tissue, restore cellular energy, and return a level of vitality to the aging body that most people have completely given up on. I've watched it happen in my own patients. I've seen the lab results change. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s move differently, sleep better, and feel genuinely alive again. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, how it works, and how to use it, starting tomorrow morning. But first, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body, because the real enemy isn't time, it's ignorance. And I refuse to let you leave this video without knowing what nobody bothered to teach you. After the age of 60, your body enters a process that scientists call sarcopenia, the progressive, age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength. This isn't a disease, it's biology, but it's biology that most people are making dramatically worse without knowing it. Starting as early as your 30s, the human body begins losing between 3 and 5% of its muscle mass per decade. After 60, that rate accelerates sharply. In sedentary individuals with poor nutritional habits, the loss can reach as much as 1% per month. Think about what that means in real terms. That difficulty getting up from a low chair, the breathlessness climbing a flight of stairs, the arms that no longer feel strong enough to carry groceries without shaking. This is not weakness of character. This is not laziness. This is your body responding to a biological process that has been accelerated by decades of choices that nobody, not your doctor, not your parents, not your school, ever taught you to avoid. And the damage doesn't stop at the muscle fibers themselves. Alongside the loss of muscle mass, there's a profound deterioration in mitochondrial function. The mitochondria are the power plants of your cells. They are responsible for producing ATP, the molecule that literally fuels every single movement you make, every breath you take, every thought you form. When mitochondrial efficiency declines, and it does significantly after 60, your body produces less energy at the cellular level. The result is that specific kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to fix. You wake up tired, you spend the day running on empty, you go to bed exhausted, and you call it aging. It's not aging, it's a deficit, and deficits can be addressed. There's also a third layer to this problem that very few people talk about: the dramatic reduction in the production of structural proteins like collagen and actin, which are responsible for maintaining the architecture of your muscle tissue. After 60, the body becomes increasingly inefficient at repairing natural microdamage to muscle fibers, at regenerating tissue after physical exertion, at maintaining the density and functional integrity that existed 20 years earlier. Everything slows down. Everything becomes harder to maintain. And most people accept this as the simple reality of getting older. But here is the truth, and I need you to hear this clearly. The human body retains an extraordinary capacity for adaptation at every age. Research conducted at Tufts University and the National Institute on Aging has demonstrated repeatedly that individuals in their 70s, 80s, and even their 90s are capable of building measurable muscle mass, improving functional strength, and experiencing dramatic improvements in quality of life when they receive the right stimuli. The window for recovery does not close. It simply requires a different approach to be opened. And one of the most powerful and most overlooked components of that approach is nutrition. After years of clinical practice working specifically with patients between the ages of 60 and 85, I began noticing a pattern that I couldn't ignore. The patients who maintained above-average vitality, strength, and mental sharpness into their later decades almost always had something specific in common. Not in their genetics, not in their medication lists, but in what they ate every single day. It wasn't expensive supplements. It wasn't complicated protocols. It was something far simpler. A consistent daily habit built around a specific combination of natural, nutrient-dense foods that the majority of people either don't know about or dramatically underestimate. Before I tell you what that combination is, and before I walk you through exactly how it works at the biological level, I need a moment with you directly. If you're watching this video and you want to keep receiving honest, evidence-based content focused on real health after 60, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. Turn on the notification bell. Because what we do here is different. We don't sell false hope. We don't chase trends. We translate real science into real-life practice, and we do it with complete respect for your intelligence and your well-being. And I want to know, where are you watching from right now? What city? What country? What part of the world? Drop it in the comments below. This channel exists because of people like you, and I genuinely want to know who you are. Every comment tells me that this work is reaching the people who need it most. So write it down, right now, before you forget. Now, back to what matters most. When we talk about rebuilding muscle after 60, there is a concept we need to understand with clarity. Muscle protein synthesis, the biological process by which your body uses amino acids, the building blocks of protein, to repair and construct new muscle fibers. This process is governed by three primary factors: physical stimulus, hormonal environment, and nutritional availability. The challenge after 60 is a phenomenon researchers call anabolic resistance. It means that the aging body becomes progressively less responsive to the normal triggers for muscle building. The same quantity of dietary protein that was sufficient to drive muscle repair at 40 may only produce a fraction of that effect at 65. The threshold has risen. The system requires more input and higher quality input to generate the same biological output. This is why older adults who eat what seems like a reasonable amount of protein still struggle with muscle loss. It's not that they aren't trying. It's that the system has changed, and their approach hasn't changed with it. The key is not simply to eat more, it's to eat smarter, specifically to provide the body with nutrients that work synergistically to overcome anabolic resistance, stimulate mitochondrial recovery, and create the internal conditions necessary for genuine tissue regeneration. And this is precisely where the combination I've been building toward comes in. Let's examine each component with the scientific seriousness it deserves. The first is whole oat flour, not the processed, sugar-laden oat cereals that line supermarket shelves. True whole oats, minimally processed in the form of whole-rolled oats or stone-ground oat flour. Oats are one of the most nutritionally complete foods available on this planet, and they are consistently and inexplicably underestimated. From a protein standpoint, oats contain between 13 and 17% protein by composition, with an amino acid profile that includes avenanthramides, compounds unique to oats with well-documented anti-inflammatory properties. This matters profoundly for muscle recovery, because chronic low-grade inflammation, which is extremely prevalent in adults over 60, is one of the primary physiological barriers to efficient muscle protein synthesis. You cannot build effectively in an inflamed environment. Oats help calm that environment down. Oats are also exceptionally rich in beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that forms a viscous gel in the small intestine, dramatically slowing the absorption of carbohydrates and creating a slow, stable release of glucose into the bloodstream. Why does this matter for muscle? because the sharp insulin spikes and subsequent crashes created by fast-digesting carbohydrates generate a metabolic environment that actively promotes muscle catabolism, tissue breakdown rather than tissue building. Beta-glucan creates hormonal stability, and hormonal stability creates the conditions for growth. Studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have linked regular oat consumption to measurable improvements in systemic inflammation markers, reductions in cellular oxidative stress, and enhanced insulin sensitivity, all of which directly support muscle health and energy metabolism in aging adults. The second component is ground flaxseed, and if oats are underestimated, flaxseed is practically invisible in most people's diets, which represents one of the most consequential nutritional oversights I've witnessed across decades of clinical practice. Flaxseed is one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids in existence, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, the precursor to the long-chain omega-3s the body depends on for a remarkable range of vital functions. And when it comes to muscle health in the aging body, omega-3s play a role that very few people are aware of. They are direct modulators of muscle protein synthesis. Research conducted at Washington University School of Medicine demonstrated that omega-3 supplementation in older adults produced measurable increases in the rate of muscle protein synthesis in response to both amino acid availability and insulin signaling. In practical terms, omega-3s help the muscle become more sensitive to the signals telling it to grow and repair. They directly address the anabolic resistance I described earlier, not by overwhelming the system, but by making the system more responsive. Flaxseed is also a profound source of lignans, phytochemical compounds with documented antioxidant and hormone-modulating properties that help regulate estrogen and testosterone levels, both of which are directly involved in maintaining muscle mass in men and women alike. The hormonal decline that follows 60 is a major driver of sarcopenia, and flaxseed offers a natural, safe, and clinically meaningful form of support for this challenge. Additionally, the fiber content in flaxseed actively nourishes the gut microbiome, and this connection is far more important than most people realize. Gut health directly governs protein absorption efficiency, influences the production of energy-related neurotransmitters, and regulates systemic inflammation. The gut is not just a digestive organ. It is a command center for metabolic health, and flaxseed speaks its language. The third element of this triad is chia seed, small in size, staggering in nutritional impact. In a single 30-gram portion of chia, roughly 2 tablespoons, you find approximately 5 grams of protein, 10 grams of fiber, 9 grams of healthy fat rich in omega-3s, and significant concentrations of calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and manganese. This is not an ordinary nutritional profile. This is precision nutrition for a body that desperately needs support. Let's talk about magnesium specifically, because this mineral is critical and chronically overlooked. Magnesium serves as a cofactor for more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the human body, including protein synthesis, ATP production, and muscular calcium regulation. Magnesium deficiency, which affects well over 50% of adults over 60, is directly associated with muscle weakness, persistent fatigue, impaired post-exertion recovery, and disrupted sleep quality. Every one of those symptoms is something my patients routinely describe as just getting older, but in many cases it's a mineral deficit, and chia addresses it directly. Phosphorus, abundant in chia, is a structural component of ATP itself. Providing the body with adequate phosphorus means providing it with the raw material to manufacture its own energy currency. And the calcium in chia, unlike the calcium found in many dairy products that older adults struggle to absorb efficiently, is paired naturally with magnesium in a ratio that supports absorption without the calcification risks associated with isolated calcium supplementation. The mucilaginous fibers in chia, that remarkable gel that forms when the seeds contact liquid, slow gastric emptying, extend satiety, stabilize blood glucose, and create intestinal conditions that favor beneficial bacterial colonization. The downstream effect: better nutrient absorption across the board, including the amino acids your muscle tissue is depending on to rebuild itself. Now, I want you to visualize what happens when these three elements, whole oat flour, ground flaxseed, and chia seed, are combined and consumed consistently every single day. In one simple preparation, you are delivering to your body a source of high-quality plant protein with essential amino acids and potent anti-inflammatory properties. A powerful omega-3 source with proven capacity to overcome anabolic resistance. A dense supply of the minerals your cells require for energy production and muscular function. A synergistic fiber combination that stabilizes blood sugar, rebuilds gut health, and maximizes the absorption of every other nutrient you consume. I want to be completely honest with you. This is not a miracle cure. No single food, however nutrient-dense, replaces the need for regular physical movement, quality sleep, adequate hydration, and appropriate medical care. What I am presenting to you is one essential piece of a puzzle. A piece that, for the overwhelming majority of people over 60, is simply missing from the picture. And what continues to amaze me, after all these years, is just how much difference that one missing piece can make. I remember a specific patient very clearly. I'll call her Margaret to protect her privacy. She came to me at 68, describing a fatigue that she said had become her permanent state. She was waking up exhausted, running out of energy before noon, and had quietly stopped doing the things that used to bring her joy. Morning walks along the river, gardening on weekends, keeping up with her grandchildren. Her blood work showed no dramatic pathology. It was the classic picture: early sarcopenia, cellular energy deficit, compromised gut microbiome, subclinical inflammation. The first intervention, before anything else, was introducing this functional flour blend into her morning routine. One well-rounded tablespoon stirred into her yogurt or morning smoothie. That's all. Within 3 weeks, she reported waking up with noticeably more energy. By 6 weeks, she had returned to her morning walks. By 3 months, she was back in the garden every weekend, and she sat across from me in my office and said, with genuine tears in her eyes, "I feel like I got myself back." I could share dozens of stories like Margaret's, not because this flour blend is magic, but because for a body that has been operating under chronic nutritional deficit, supplying the right nutrients at the right time produces a response that, from the outside, can look almost miraculous. But it isn't. It's simply biology doing what biology does when you finally give it what it needs. Here is exactly how to prepare this functional flour and integrate it into your daily life in a way that is practical, sustainable, and effective. The proportion I recommend, based on clinical experience and the complementary nutritional profiles of each ingredient, is as follows: 2 parts whole oat flour to 1 part ground golden flaxseed and 1 part chia seed. The flaxseed must be ground. Whole flax seeds pass through the digestive tract largely intact, delivering only a fraction of their nutritional value. You can purchase it pre-ground, or grind whole seeds yourself in a standard blender or coffee grinder. Chia can be used whole or ground, according to your preference. Mix the 3 ingredients in a sealed glass jar and store in a cool, dry place, or in the refrigerator, which is preferable for preserving the fatty acid integrity of the flaxseed. The blend will maintain its nutritional potency for up to 30 days. The recommended daily serving is 1 well-rounded tablespoon, approximately 20 to 25 grams. This quantity, consumed daily without interruption, is sufficient to deliver the cumulative benefits we've discussed throughout this content. How to use it. The options are genuinely endless. Stir it into plain yogurt. Blend it into a morning smoothie. Mix it into oatmeal. Add it to soup, sprinkle it over rice. Incorporate it into pancake batter or functional baked goods. This blend integrates into virtually any meal without significantly altering flavor, which makes daily consistency far easier to maintain. The optimal moment for consumption, in my clinical experience, is breakfast, when the body is emerging from overnight fast and the window for nutrient absorption is at its most open. That said, if another time of day fits your routine more naturally, the timing is secondary to the habit. Consistency is the variable that matters most. A word on expectations, because honesty is inseparable from genuine medical care. Results do not happen overnight. The human body is extraordinarily sophisticated, and real, lasting, physiologically meaningful change requires time and repetition. What the scientific literature consistently shows, and what my clinical experience confirms, is that within 4 to 12 weeks of daily use, most people notice measurable improvements in morning energy levels, muscular endurance, recovery after physical activity, and sleep quality. And as months pass, 3, 6, 12, those changes deepen, consolidate, and compound in ways that affect every dimension of daily life. Small, consistent choices made every day produce transformations that no single dramatic intervention can replicate. This is the fundamental law of physiology. This is the fundamental law of lasting change. Before I close, I want to address one final dimension of this conversation that is almost always ignored, and that has a profound impact on muscle health after 60: oxidative stress. As we age, the balance between free radical production and the body's antioxidant defense capacity becomes increasingly disrupted. We generate more reactive oxygen species, unstable molecules that damage cellular structures, including muscle fibers, and we become progressively less effective at neutralizing them. The result is an accelerated process of cellular degradation that compounds the muscle loss and energy decline we've been discussing throughout this video. Each of the 3 ingredients in this functional flour contributes meaningful antioxidant protection. Oats through their avenanthramides. Flaxseed through its lignans and natural vitamin E content. Chia through its phenolic compounds and flavonoids. Consumed together daily, they form a layered antioxidant shield that reduces oxidative stress progressively and consistently, protecting not only muscle tissue, but the cardiovascular system, brain function, and cellular integrity across virtually every tissue in the body. This simple combination is doing more for your biology than it might appear from the outside. And now we arrive at the only conclusion that matters. Aging is not surrender. Everything the science tells us, everything my clinical experience has shown me across more than 2 decades, everything that the real stories of real patients like Margaret make undeniably clear, points to the same truth. The human body at 60, at 70, at 80 retains a capacity for renewal and adaptation that goes far beyond what popular culture has conditioned us to accept. Muscle loss does not have to be relentless. Fatigue does not have to be permanent. Fragility does not have to be your future. But the body cannot express its best version without the right tools. It needs movement. It needs rest. It needs purpose. And it needs, fundamentally, intelligent nutrition, the kind that gives every cell, every muscle fiber, every mitochondria exactly what it requires to function at genuine capacity. 1 spoon a day, oats, flaxseed, and chia. Consistency, patience, and the certainty that what you are doing is real, practical, science-based, and cumulative in its power. This is not everything you can do, but it may be the most important thing you start doing. If something in this video landed for you, if you recognized yourself in any part of what I described, if you felt that shift of possibility that comes from learning something real, then I have one simple request. Subscribe to this channel today. This is a space built for adults who take their health seriously. Every video we create here is held to the same standard as this one: honest, evidence-based, and designed to give you practical tools for living with more strength, more energy, and more vitality after 60. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, no false promises, just science, translated into action, delivered with respect. Click subscribe, activate the bell, and please tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Every single message you leave confirms that this work is reaching the people who need it. And it motivates me to keep going, because the next video is going to reveal something that almost no one over 60 is paying attention to. A factor that may be the single most powerful determinant of whether you age with strength or with struggle. You don't want to miss it. Take care of yourself. With knowledge, with consistency, and with the absolute certainty that your best years are not behind you. They are waiting.